And there's no one in there, and they're in the SWAT, and that's how they're carrying out the money. That is so rad.
So hey, what's happening, guys? My name's Chad.
I'm Arianna.
And Arianna just got to watch Ocean's 11 for the first time, and I figured, hey, let's go ahead and talk about it.
Hello, George. Biggest takeaway, I kept saying things like, oh, this is heartwarming. Oh, this is heartfelt. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it still keeps you up.
Absolutely right.
Even with, like, the small, like, blunders aren't even that bad of blunders.
Right,
But the jokes, but it's very, like, heist movie you can take your kids to.
Are you a man?
Yes, 19.
Are you alive?
Yes, 18.
Evil Knievel.
So in essence, the premise of Ocean's 11 is it's a Steven Soderbergh flick. It's your high fantasy almost version of like the heist movie.
Absolutely.
A good contemporary, which you brought up earlier, is Guy Ritchie, and especially like old Guy Ritchie.
Right.
And he's got this vibe of like the ensemble cast, it being very kind of comedic,
right?
But watching ne'er-do-wells breaking the law, right?
Yeah.
They tend to do a good job of setting stakes that make you feel like it's going to be stressful and scary for them, like it matters. But normally, like, no one really dies. It's kind of like, real chill.
Run and hide. That is all that I ask.
Cat and mouse game. But still keeps you entertained and doesn't have that cheese factor to it.
Well, that's what is surprising.
Right.
And there's a thin line between like characters being corny and being like, very personable.
Right.
And they almost always nail it. I think a great example is our two leads, the kind of the co-workers being Danny and Rusty. And their dynamic together I think is incredible.
Been practicing this speech a little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. No, it's good. I liked it.
It is so good, and their dynamic is so well done in a way that it almost makes you feel like there's two sets of children in the show.
Right.
The older brothers and then the younger brothers.
Yeah.
Just the blubbering idiots.
Right.
But they're not so, like, you can just tell that's their dynamic, and it's funny.
He's a balloon boy!
It works.
Yeah,
it's like watching siblings fight, like in real time.
Now it's time to fool around with you two circus animals.
Circus animals.
This movie is a masterclass in show don't tell. It's often show while telling. So there's a lot of montages, but they always really work because they make you feel very invested in what's happening.
Absolutely.
And part of it is their relationship, is how they communicate in a way that shows you that these guys like know each other really well, and how they often, when it's just the two of them, they don't like finish their sentences.
Right.
And they know what each other meant.
Good point.
There's a point when the security guy ends up getting almost caught, and he has to like hand over his thing or whatever, and it's like, oh, that was bad. And Danny just goes like,
Well, yeah.
Or just even their whole conversation about Tess.
Yeah, right.
Because
that
it
too.
really doesn't bring to fruition until the end. It doesn't all wrap back into it because it's never explicitly explained.
Yeah.
During that conversation. At the end, you're like, that's what they were talking about.
Exactly
We're gonna
right,
make him choose. Like,
What if I told you I could get your money back if you give up Tess?
I would say yes.
Or just the you think we need one more? You think
oh
we need
yeah.
one more? Okay, we'll get one more. Like just that stuff. It's like it works so well with their dynamics. So that as we go through our movie here with kind of step by step, most of the beats are basically them acquiring the people because they have their different sets of skills. That's just a fun idea off the bat. Like that always is fun. It's like, this is the guy who's good at pickpocketing. This is the guy who's good at security stuff. This is the guy who's good at getting in small places or doing acrobatics and stuff.
I don't know. It doesn't seem all that different. We got a grease man. We got a grease man.
Also, how when they're going through what they need for these games, like, we need Ella Fitzgerald, we need that, and like you're like, what are they saying? Which is so funny, and then you like see the breakdown again, and you're like, you can kind of figure it out. It's just so good.
No, that's another really fun one, especially with like Don Cheadle, because he uses like old school Cockney rhyming slang and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
So unless we intend to do this job in Reno, we're in Barney. Barney Rubble. Trouble.
Again, that's also that like show while telling thing where like they'll say stuff, but then you get more of the understanding when you're looking at them do the thing, and you go, oh, that's what's going on.
Are you always afraid of like nuke his spurt?
Which does a great job at making you feel very involved in the process. You feel kind of like one of the guys, because they kind of tell you the gist of the plan early on. But then when they start going into the minutia of like what the execution of every step is, you're normally watching it happen or watching the testing.
Absolutely.
So you feel so invested. Like, I'm here. It's wildly complicated what they do, like overly, like kind of cartoonishly complicated, but you can track it. So you're kind of like, no, I'm with it.
Even more so, how they wrap it up at the end to really truly see the bigger picture is well done as well.
So that's a big thing that these movies kind of do in general, that they tell you what the plan is, so so you're invested, you feel like you understand what's happening. So because you know what's going to happen, it can't just happen because it'd be boring. Right. So then what has to happen is every individual step goes wrong somehow, and they always have to improvise. So now that's where all the tension's coming from the later part of the movie. So in the middle point, where before we get to that kind of climax, the tension reset that you're starting to need when you get to that halfway point is the low point where we realize that, oh, he's doing all this because of Tess. And so this is not him just, when he gave his speech about like, when you have a chance to bet on the house and beat the house, you got to go for it. It's like, no, this is personal. Well, the problem is that like they're all professionals. This could get them all, locked up because the mission isn't based around being doable. It's based around just wanting it real bad. And this guy, and they do a very good job of setting Terry Benedict up to be the kind of guy who seems like he could take them all on. Like he, as fun as the energy is with all of the players, he's the one who's deadly serious. And so you need him to be this kind of larger than life character because you need it to feel like the guys can't, just easily dupe this dude.
Right.
So then what normally happens is we do get into that third act part where we start to execute and everything starts falling apart. And when that happens, you don't realize that they have basically contingencies that they've kind of worked out. So when it really ends and you realize what they were really doing the whole time.
Yeah.
It's your vault. Blue team, move it out.
It's literally, and the only reason I know that is because I just watched Inglourious Basterds literally like 2 weeks ago.
It's very cool because in essence, what they're mastering here is when to tell you what. Like what information I'm going to give you at what time. And it's often like, okay, here's like the plan A, but they're actually working on a plan B and we just don't know about the plan B. So there still was surprises throughout the whole film for you. And that just all really works really well. That bit where,
What if I told you I could get your money back if you give up Tess?
I would say yes.
It's just like that's just a moment for him to like kind of dunk on Danny. You're like, oh man, but then it's like, oh no, even that was something they got to like use.
There was a part of the plan.
Yep.
In your hotel, there's always someone watching.
Oof. You got robbed and you lost your girl because you made the wrong choice. I mean, $160 million, though.
I don't know, like there's not like deep themes or know, philosophical stuff to go through, but as far as like the actual execution stuff, it is very complicated. Like writing a screenplay like this would be a blast.
Right.
He went for it. Like 11 people is a lot
of a
people.
lot of people.
11 guys who all have like good, useful, unique, skills and talents and ideas and ways that you can use them. And also it's kind of a shock. I forgot, Bernie Mac being in this. Like, I remembered, but it's like, man.
How that he was utilized for the Matt Damon's character, because you don't see it coming that way. You think he's just going to have some type of interaction with Terry and don't be too memorable, but, be good. And like the fact that the whole scheme is for him just to be like a scared white guy.
Oh, dear God.
He does that so well, though. Yeah. It's just so great.
Right.
Because you don't see it coming. You're like, what?
Oh, yeah.
You might as well call it White Jack.
It's so over the top, you'd think I'd be like, oh my God, this is so unbelievable. It's ridiculous, like a cartoon. But no, it's just delightful, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Extremely
I don't want to
charming.
keep saying, that's a better word than be like, it's just feel good. But no,
very
charming is the great way to put it.
Right.
Because I feel like it rubs you the right way.
It does. It really
you know what
does.
I mean? And I think that's a really difficult thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
While still keeping it light.
Also, I think it's a good example of just when everyone who showed up on set, like, showed up to work. It's
yes.
like, it's shot well. Like,
and to have a good time, you can tell it was all very natural chemistry. I have to, like, there was almost a smile on my face the whole time watching it.
Yeah.
Like, there weren't, like, a ton of, like, laugh out loud moments. Right. The end got me.
Ted Nugent called. He wants you.
But you're just like thoroughly actually entertained.
Absolutely right.
In a positive way.
Right. I love like when Rusty and Danny, I think they first head out in a car together and they had like they did like a lock track with the camera like stuck to the back of the car. There's like no need to do that shot like that, but it's just a really just someone wanted to do a little bit, extra and above. Another thing I love too is how there's a lot of, do you notice there's a lot of kind of like snap zooms and
yes,
stuff?
I love that. And I loved how it changed pace with where they were. Like Sarasota, you don't see any of that. Chicago, it's all like that. They get into Vegas, it's like that. It's like that fast life of when they're in the slow area, when they're in Utah, all super slow. You know what I mean? So it's super well done.
And it's cool because it also gives it, like they're using like a telephoto lens and they're zooming in from far away. It gives this very surveillance-y feel. It feels like surveillance, which all works with like they're being watched, but they're also watching. And so it just feels natural. So they just found a great way to kind of like utilize the actual film craft itself, reinforces the themes, the premise of the film, which is this whole heist thing. A lot of that stuff we're talking about where there is basically tonal consistency with the film craft, that often comes from the auteur director who is the writer/director because he was just involved from the ground up.
Right.
So you write the scenes and maybe they look like whatever, on paper, but when you actually shoot the scene, well, now all of a sudden you have all of this, you know, to pull from.
Well, you're carrying the vision the whole way through. And then they'll all just go their separate ways like it never happened. Ships passing in the night. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just they're good, clean, fun. I hope to move through more of them.
I'm down. I'm down to see a second one because I want to see Terry's Revenge. I want to see Terry's Revenge so bad.
That's what the sequel should have been called. Yeah, Terry's Revenge.
Also, I do think the only place where I feel like it's a little unrealistic is the brothers. They play too many characters. Like, they would, if they were watching the cameras the way they're saying, they would have been noticed far too much because you don't get to be a bellhop. You don't get to be, like, you know.
It's funny.
Lost him. Dude, I told you to hurry.
I love even there, they're arguing. Like, and I do love how they're always arguing because it carries you through because I love that dynamic.
Their bickering is really fun, yeah.
He definitely had casting,
right?
Julia Roberts, Aaron Brockovich, you know.
Probably wrote the characters around the people he wanted.
Absolutely, you know. So then it comes in and just meshes so well, and clearly he had a good relationship with them on other sets, and it just very much shows and carries over. So.
But this movie was, I think, kind of a big watershed moment in cinema as well. We ended up getting, like, I don't think we get the Italian job if there's no Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
This is like what I thought Star Wars, like Rogue One, should have been. You know, if you ever have a movie where it's supposed to be, in essence, a heist, and you know what happens because you've seen the other movies, it's a prequel, then the tension shouldn't be locked into, will they do it or not? The tension should be locked into the journey itself. And that's what these movies nails. Like, you understand just by the basis of it being a film, they're going to succeed. So we're really just trying to see how they succeed, and how they succeed ends up being a lot of fun. And this is like what we really focus on. This is like what just everything kind of working looks like, and knowing how difficult it is, you know, to just make a movie at all. It's really refreshing to, you know, go back and catch one of the ones where it just seemed like everything was just, you know, greased up. Everything was just ticking on time. So I dig it. Yeah. Would you recommend Ocean's 11?
I would.
You would?
Would definitely recommend.
Would you buy it on Blu-ray?
Would I buy? No, I'm not going to buy anything.
Exactly. Me neither. Right?
Would I rent it on Amazon Prime? Yeah. $3.99. Why not?
Sure, yeah. So great. That was Ocean's 11. And so if y'all have seen Ocean's 11, 12, 13, and 8, let me know in the comments which one your favorite one is. And we love you.
See you guys.
Bye.